Good morning, everyone. I'm Joe. Today I built myself a little bit of extra time, so I thought I'd show you something a little bit different. I'm going to go through how I create a PC or Dungeons & Dragons player character portrait. And I've got a commission to do a goblin that has a he's a sorcerer. My friend envisions him with a large turban similar to what like Johnny Carson kind of would wear for the Great Karnak. So I'm going to work through kind of some ideas I have in terms of his, like for sketching, just for the pose. And I'm thinking something where his hands are like this, or maybe something like, hey, I'm like, oh, what's here? Oh, that's the power within my hands. This is what I'm going to cast my spell with. So we'll see. That's the energy I'm going to feed off of. First thing I'm going to show you is I'm going to basically, the plan is to sketch it out, come up with a couple of ideas. Then I'll take those ideas, take photographs of them with my phone, which then gets shared through to Dropbox. But I'll take those JPEGs and send them to my friend and see what he thinks. But the big thing is, since it's a Goblin Sorcerer, is it going to be the Pathfinder Goblin that's more of like an oval head with kind of a short, like snub nose, or how I draw goblins, which is, anyway, basically, I feel like they need long noses, short, fat noses, but they're green. My goblins, I think, are probably heavily influenced from Brian Froud's work with the Labyrinth, and then some of his work in the Dark Crystal. But the Labyrinth is the big one where he did all the goblins work, and then the books that he did with Terry Jones are incredible. So I'll put some links to those because I think hopefully they're still in print because they are pretty cool. There's a couple that are one I think that's called something like Stains. It's got something about stains in it, but then Lady Cottington's Book of Fairies. So lots of fun stuff. And anyway, on to the sketching. See you on the other side. Thanks.
Okay, we're getting into the pencil sketching. I'm using a 2B pencil and a 2B mechanical pencil. So with this first one, I am thinking about a Pathfinder style goblin with a little snub nose. Get that turban going. And I usually start with the face on some things, and then I kind of go from there with the pose. So these things, I'm just kind of pulling them from my head from having done doodles and all sorts of stuff before. I'm going to draw the hands in sometimes and then fill in where the arms and shoulders would be. And with sorcerers and anything that's a spellcaster, I like it to be action. So I want them to be casting a spell of some type. Generally, that is a fireball, even though it's not really a fireball. It's just like could be anything. Could be an acid ball. If I remember correctly, the fireball used to be like this little pea-sized, tiny little ball that you shoot into a room that would just explode like crazy. So, kind of think about a little bit of just a hint of a background. When I'm doing a character portrait, I don't usually do a full background because I think it's important for the player to be able to fill in the background no matter what. And it kind of ends up being filled in with the campaign. So this spell type, it always reminds me, at least it's not exact, but I always think of Egg Shen in Big Trouble in Little China, and how he kind of has his two hands apart and he's casting that little spell in between, like right at the beginning of the movie. So this could be a summoning spell. Could be beginning of some kind of mist. And this guy's just really focused. Get him like these two hands coming out, and maybe like they're dripping. I think these would be like acid, like some kind of acid balls, or getting ready to sling some horrible horrible magic at you. Give him the traditional, I guess, wizard's robes, even though he's a sorcerer. Little curled toes. I think, I guess, even though the turbans from India, the curves and the pointed shoes and stuff, I don't know, it's something. There's that, oh man, what's on the Bozo show? Not the Wizzo. Anyway, he had those shoes. I think he had a turban too. My sister's dog. Sorry about that. So this is the pose I ended up going with, and he's reaching for the sky. He's got power coming from above, power coming from within his hand, and then for outfit wise, I guess I was thinking of Aladdin, I guess, a little bit in terms of the style of the look. Have a sash, and then with goblins, I don't know if footwear is necessarily needed. And this guy was just malevolent. I just was thinking, let's give him a skull on the front. And I wasn't sure how evil my buddy wanted to play him, or at least how dark. To be saving the world. He's just this is how he feels about his enemies and the people that are hurting his friends. So he's just angry at people. So when I'm sketching, I don't know if you noticed, I don't really use a lot of, I don't use the eraser very much. I don't think, I think if you use the eraser too much while you're sketching, at least coming up with ideas, you can get yourself stuck where you kind of keep erasing something. So I think it's important to just kind of go with it and just, make a mess. All right, and then final thing I do is I take pictures and use my phone, and it just syncs it right over to my Dropbox, so I'm able to just open it up with Photoshop. All right.
Okay, working with my client, we chose position 4. Lots of energy, lots of action in there, and still very much goblin-y. And it's got the turban that he's thinking of, so for like the Karnak, the Great Karnak. So now to bring it into the computer, I took the picture, so my phone automatically saves it to my Dropbox file. I'll open that up in Photoshop, and then I'll finesse the pencils a little bit, and then get to digitally inking. So if you have any questions, always feel free to ask. Happy to answer them. So on to the next stage. Finessing the drawing.
Okay, I open up the photo, bring it in, and adjust the levels. Keep those down. Or I should say, adjust it so I brighten it up a little bit. The pencil sketch tool I use is something that I tweaked an Aaron Blaze brush, so to suit my needs. Basically, I got rid of the texture, because at this point, for me, this is just my drawing here is just going to be a tool for me to ink over, and nobody will see the drawing. So I would prefer to have a little bit of speed, no texture. I basically work with black, because at some point, what I'll do is I'll lighten it back a lot and ink over the light gray tones. Let's go on for his necklace. By the time I'm inking, I adjust his collar too. This is kind of too rounded. A little gem on his turban. eyes. Yeah, there we go. Add a little bit more of a point. Realized I needed more when I took the picture. It was a little too low. That hand's going to be mostly like it's on fire. Get some billowy, kind of blousy top. How his fingers are going to be. When I'm sketching in Photoshop, I don't usually use the eraser tool. Usually what I do is I switch over to white. And I'm not sure if that's, I think it's mostly because I'll tend to add layers and stuff. So basically what I did there was I flipped it to make sure that he wasn't really stretched out of proportion in one direction. I noticed that sometimes because of my glasses and things that I'll tend to skew things in an angle. So sometimes I have to double check to make sure I didn't do that. Fix this front leg. The calf wraps and this is the first point. I was saving it. I'd worked on it at this point. I'd worked on it for about 20 minutes. Try to save sooner than that. I think it should be that you save right away, because that is the worst when you've been working on something very intently and then all of a sudden the power goes out and you lose everything. Nightmare. So crop it open a little bit. How his hand's going to be kind of just on fire and melting, burning up. I decided I'm going to make instead of shoes. This is the point where I decided I'm going to have him have bare feet. Touch him down, go into the background, fix the sash, give him some fringe. Alright, that's the beginning of the sketch basically. At this stage what I do is group it up into a reference folder and drop the opacity way down so that it lightens it up. Make an ink layer, and also at this point, I'm walking in the alley, sorry. Also at this point, I make sure that that new layer is named ink, and I switch to the pencil tool with a brush that I created. It's just got what do you call it? I have a file open right now, but anyway, it has it so it's my pressure sensitivity. I'm using an Wacom Intuos tablet. If I haven't said that before. So I use a Wacom Intuos Pro, And yeah, kind of basically I've been using the Intuos tablets for quite some time. The first time I used one, it was just night and day. Felt like the difference between drawing with this and drawing with a mouse was like drawing with a pencil versus drawing with a brick. So, well worth picking up, even if you can get an older one. I think some of the entry-level models are probably better than the ones I started with. Makes a huge difference. Trying to get the curve of and make it look like there's folds coming in. Switch over to the eraser tool, clean up that edge a little bit. I kind of realized that his arm would have had a little bit more space there, so. Burning hand. Get some dark folds with that collar. Skull, we'll get him a little bit of a drop shadow there. About the bones. A lot of that hand's going to be in shadow because of the fire being in front. On the other side, I guess, in the palm. A lot of honking today. Sorry. Currently live in a basement. Some of those folds and creases. With character portraits, a lot of this stuff is from, basically working from memory and previous doodles and all the extra work. So just not enough time for reference photos, but reference photos would definitely help improve things. Time-wise, though, gotta put the time in and just draw like crazy. Draw all the time from everything. Trying to get that curve right. Or trying to get that curve good enough. And with here, I end up having to erase a bunch of stuff. Or I just undo. Man, multiple levels of undo in Photoshop are huge. I remember back in the day when you had one level of undo. And you had two levels. You had one save, and you had revert to save. Alright, so I'm coming in with my cross hatching. I reduced the size of my brush to. I went from I was using it at 20, and now I've gone down to 10. A little bit of hair. I don't know what's been going on with my tablet. Every so often I get these. It just gives up on the pressure sensitivity and just goes all, 100% blob. So, I'm trying to think about where the light source is, which is that big, the fire in his hands. Especially the one that's in his left hand. Try and follow the line of the contours of the flesh, or follow the contours of the object, I guess. Try to give it a little bit of texture. I'm zooming out. Sometimes I'm trying to look at the overall character. I want to get this back foot to be heavily in shadow. Here comes this like fakey ground stuff. Yeah, that could be in a dungeon. Could be out on the back roads. Wherever. Okay, now here we go with the color. I add a layer behind the ink. I name it color, and I keep using the pen tool, but I've gone with a kind of a gray-green, like the light yellow for his eyes. A little bit of kind of a pinkish tone for his tongue. And just keep kind of filling in. This is the coloring stage. I'm just putting in basic colors. It's all solid stuff, so that I can use it as a selection later if I need to. Big, crazy, bright pink turban. You're gonna have an outrageous character. You might as well have outrageous colors. Give them there's the skulls, the bone beads. Yellow accents and purple. Once I basically draw around a shape and then use the paint bucket to fill it in. You just have to make sure that you set your paint bucket to not have, what is it called? Anti-aliasing. Otherwise you get fuzzy edges. Those can be a pain. A little sloppy here, but I figured I'm going to fill in with the yellow. I need some of that ink for the sash. Got a match. Dark. Alright, now here I wasn't sure. Oh, I got the brown for the leggings. And I do adjust the brown colors. Let's see. I wasn't sure what to do with his pants. So I kind of go with, first I paint him in like a real light purple. But then I was thinking, well, he's kind of, if I do that, then he's a little bit monochromatic. And I want him to look like he's, all the colors. So I went with a I guess it would be natural cloth material. At this point, I made a new layer behind the colors because I just wanted that. I wanted to be able to play with the flame and not worry about coloring over the green. So at this point, it's basically a layer behind, and then eventually, what I do towards the end is I create a layer in front and add some more yellows and different highlights and stuff for that stuff for the fire. Zoomed in. Also, this way I don't have to worry about trying to trace around the hand. I'm going to add in some fringe, kind of orange and yellow. Okay, now I'll use the, this is what I'm going to color the bottom. Once I have those solid shapes though, I can use the magic wand and select them. And if I keep them in a different layer, if I keep those as a separate layer and I color in the other layer, then it's easy to make changes later. Put in adjustment layers we need to change colors. Just adding in shadows, darkers. For the highlights, I want it to look like it's coming off that yellow. At first I just had it be light. Then I realized that's too yellow. So what I did was kind of chose a color and used the color wheel, kind of get it in between. I think that worked pretty well. Some of it down here in the sash. Okay, now I was on the right layer. Gonna selected his face. Selected all the green now. Come in with some shadows first. And build the shapes off of the. Give them that dimension. And it's that kind of wanted to go kind of more towards the yellow. And light, and then I put some yellow in there too. Because he's probably sweaty. And that water. Okay, see what I mean about the dark? Coming in with that shadow. I could have left it that way, but I wanted to come in with one other color, so a little bit more dark. This was confusing me a little bit because of the multiple light sources. Oh. Accidentally filled everything in that was selected, so some shadows on his feet. Work on his eyes. That lip shadow. Pants. probably where I wish I had reference photos the most. Shrink up the brush. And the shirt. This is how the highlights on the shirt I did the same way. I basically pick a lighter color and then that was the same purple and then dial it closer to the yellow to warm it up. Zoom it in, zoom it out. Make a bit rind. Adding some flame detail. Those oranges in there, reds, a little bit of light yellow, white. That flame in front. Get some more yellow on the teeth. I like the tongue. And then I realize, oh, I gotta do the gem. Try and make it look like it's made out of some kind of metal. And get some yellow reflections. A little shadows and lights. Find my fuzzed out brush, basically just a big fuzzy brush. Give them a highlight. Sign it, done. Joe 2020. Love.
Well, there you have it, folks. That's how I do a digital character portrait. I start off in pencil on regular paper, take a photograph of it, bring it into, comes into Dropbox. Then I open it up with Photoshop, finesse the pencil in Photoshop, and then set up all the layers and things, and then ink it in Photoshop. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and please like, share, and subscribe if you like what I'm doing, and hit the bell icon if you want to have notifications. I'm trying to post something every day, so yeah, I'm having fun, and hope you like what I'm doing. A lot of the stuff I'm just gonna kind of keep having fun and showing you what I do. So thanks a lot. Take it easy. Bye.